I like to finish this video series to show you some other things that actually we as professionals use quite a lot also. And they're not complicated at all. They're quite fun actually. If you would use Photo-Paint, they are called merge modes, and if I hover over this one here, you see it says merge modes. One of the classics is multiply, difference, subtract, and you see already when I hover over these, we can get a preview of how these will look if I apply the effect. But if I move out of this menu here, it will go back to normal. It's called blending modes in Photoshop if you're using Photoshop, and if you're using Corel Painter, it's called something else, and if you're using Manga Studio from the Clip Studio program, once again, that's another name. You can actually get it in the first program that I mentioned, GIMP. So what does these do? If we go over to this one here, for example, let's say multiply. That's a classic one. We see that we have the orange and then the lighter orange, and let's see what this was. Yes, the darker one here. The darker one here, that's called the object 5 here. You see that's the shadow. We can actually create a shadow using the multiply effect as well. So I'm going to use that, and let's see if we're going to use the orange one here, and then add another object on top of that. Sorry, that's another one. And on top of that now, so it's underneath this one. It means I'm only going to work on this brighter orange here now. And here's the multiply, and I will use the same color orange that I use. So now you'll see what happened. I bet you can already see that multiply make this not so much as a shadow this time, but it creates a almost red version of the color, and that's because of the multiply effect. Let's see if we can change this after I've made this one here. With another color, this could actually have become darker. Now I'll create a new object again, a new layer. Let's see if we can choose another one. Let's see if lighter. You see, if using lighter, I get back to the orange, which is the default. We don't need that. So let's see if we just paint something over here again on the new object, and see what happens. So we have the normal, the add, subtract, difference, multiply, of course, divide, if lighter, if darker, texture, and texture actually gives more of a shadow feel that I wanted. But I'm going to go through the other ones and just let you see how different they are. Some actually don't react at all, and that's very much depending on the color you're using, to put it simple. So that's the one. So we go up over here to texturize and see what happens. So this is the same color, but it creates this effect instead. So what I'm going to do now is to remove that with the eraser tool, and then add more slightly like this one here, and that suddenly creates this darker. And of course, to be more precise, I would simply have to use the Control Shift key on the keyboard and make the nib size the tip of the pen to make it smaller. And then simply, if you can make an outline like this, a movement without lifting the pen, you save a little bit more time. Of course, you can always go back and fix whatever went wrong afterwards. That's the beauty also with digital coloring. You can do that manually, of course, traditionally, but you can do it very quickly with digital. And that was a little bit too fast. I'm just gonna use this same technique, and as you can see now, I'm using the same merge mode or blending modes in Photoshop, merge mode in Photo-Paint. And instead of giving that this color, you see it actually creates another color, a little bit more bronzy, or let's see, can it be brown, something like that. Yeah. I'm gonna be a little bit quiet here, silent. If you hear the background noise, that's seagull, I think, that on that I think it was a seagull anyway, flew outside my window, and the metro, the subway train is coming in here in Stockholm, Sweden. They're opening the doors, letting people in while I'm coloring this one here. So you see how easy it is to do this using this technique. And then we can add okay, so that's one way of doing it. And now it's just up to you to explore more and see what happens when you're doing it on your own end, and just having fun. Have fun coloring away.